Okay, we're off. It is Tuesday. It is the 6th of September. And just coming back from a 3-day Labor Day weekend. It was very nice. It was 11 o'clock. Spent the first 3 hours of the morning handling administrative duties, following up on things that I left hanging on Friday, following up on things that came in over the weekend. All in all, light weekend for traffic, which is nice. It's very often that the first day back after an extended weekend is crazy. Work orders that came through and emergencies and what have you. But light traffic over the weekend, which was nice. My phone very rarely through the weekend gave me any notifications of emails coming through, and that's good. It's reflective of the season slowing down. This year in general has been, I think, a little bit slower, but it also might have something to do with my change in perception, perspective, and my approach to what I do. I set out before we got into the busy season, and it wasn't really even intentional just to do it before the busy season. I hit a wall. I mean, I went through a long period of just being unhappy with what I'm doing and just constantly pointing the finger at that, saying, all right, well, I'm unhappy and it's because of this. My job makes me unhappy. And I started making some little steps several months back that helped change my perception and perspective about my job, about what I do. And it was little things like cleaning up my desk. My desk had gotten to be a dump site of everything that I had been working on, and a lot of it was there to remind me that there were still things that needed to be taken care of, but to a certain extent, even after I was closing things out, I wasn't filing away the notes or the paperwork or the reminders, and it really was having an effect on me and my approach to doing what I do. And I cleaned it up, and I recorded quite a bit about it when I was doing it, because it made me feel better about everything. It made me feel better about coming into work, because coming into a nice clean desk had an impact on me, and then the ability to work with what I had there was, it was easier, and I didn't feel as overwhelmed, because with all that stuff, it just felt like I constantly had an overloaded schedule, overloaded workload. It felt like I was being overwhelmed, and a lot of it was not necessary. A lot of it was just stuff that needed to be discarded or just filed or whatever. So a big step in creating a better environment for myself. It also made it easier to alter my perception, my perspective towards what I do, and not feeling overwhelmed. And sometimes that's all it takes, because really it's all an illusion. And when you realize you have the ability get-go, the strongest benefit in this business has been the time factor, the ability to work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, to have weekends off, to have holidays off, to have paid vacations that you can actually take. That's a huge benefit. And there's been times where the downside of this business has been excessive in comparison to that benefit, and maybe we want to chuck it all. I've continued to maintain. I've been here now more than 5 years. The longest position that I've ever held by almost double. So as frustrating, as aggravating as it is and can be, it's bearable. And the thing that I think would make it better is if I was doing it for myself, which has always been the goal. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always wanted to own and operate and maintain my own business, do it my way, based on my theories and my philosophies. And when the thought hit me a month or so ago that I would like to do that, and maybe like to do that down on the coast in the Corpus Christi area, and started developing that concept, that idea in my head, and then went a step further and proposed it to Rhonda, and then talked about the possibility of proposing that to Steve. The idea excited me, and there's been days in the last month or so where, since I made that decision to potentially pursue that route, and there's been days, one where I've said I'm going to talk to Steve today, and something will come up and our schedules don't line up, and I'm like, all right, well, wasn't the right time, not going to push it. But there's been days where I'm like, all right, maybe this isn't what I want to do. There are days where this job and some of the circumstances that you become involved in are overwhelming, and they can definitely rain on your parade. And so over the last several weeks, couple months, whatever it's been, I've tried to maintain a positive outlook, maintain that level of perception and perspective without getting into that, this fucking sucks, I can't do this anymore. And when those periods come, those days come, I try to acknowledge them, try not to get sucked too far into them and let them affect my emotional state to an extreme, but they do. But it's the recovery, it's the rebounding that I've really been focused on. And again, separation, leaving the stress and the anxiety at the office and not taking it home with me. And I've gotten better at it. There have been days where it's affected my sleep, it's affected my eating, it's affected my physiology. I've felt shitty for stress-related reasons. It's happened. But I've been able to maintain, I've been able to rebound, and I feel like it's been a good test because it still seems like a viable option. Because there's going to be a time / Monday morning, first day back from the weekend, that's big for me because that's usually the most stressful day of the week, and I've done a lot to change that, to alter that, and make it more tolerable and again easier to recover if I do lose my footing. So, having said all that, it was a great weekend, and I thought a lot about talking to Steve and what I would tell him when I do finally sit down with him, how I would pitch this, how I would present it, what my concept, my ideas are, and but I really was also trying to enjoy my life, enjoy my time, which sometimes is, for me, easier said than done. So we had concert tickets that I had purchased for Rhonda's birthday back in April for Maroon 5. We were looking forward to that, and we were able to do that on Saturday night. That was a good time. Again, taking advantage of things that the city has to offer that we don't always take advantage of. And I'm gonna grab this silent lockbox real quick and let this roll.
Incoming call from Boardwalk Mobile. Press Uconnect phone button to answer.
Hello?
Hey, guess what?
What?
The agent, I said, guess what?
What?
The agent for Worsdorf just called and said that her client had a family emergency and needs to break her lease.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
No. I said, and she goes, what do we need to do? I said, you need to have her call me. That was the agent calling, and I'm like, are you kidding? That's ridiculous. Anyway. As soon as she started talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, she's going out of the lease.
That's exactly what happened to the last guy.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Well, I had it on my list to go pick the stuff up over there today. I'm glad I didn't do it yet.
Yeah, I'd wait. I'll let you know what happens.
Well,
I mean, I don't think the owner's going to let her out too easy after all this.
Well, it came up once before. We had somebody that did the same thing. And they're like, all right, well, you're going to have to do this, 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 and this, and you're going to have to pay this, this, and this. And they're like, all right, never mind, I'll make it work.
That was Ken Rock, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so hopefully something like that will happen.
Yeah, that's why I said have her call me. Because I wasn't going to discuss it with the agent anyway, but, I mean, yeah. So, anywho.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
Alright. Love you, bye.
All right, bye.
Phone call completed.
Task complete. Move on down the road. So the whole point of all this, everything that I'm doing, everything that my life has been about is understanding the world that we live in, understanding my own reality, and achieving and maintaining happiness. And that's what the whole thing, that's what everything I've been doing. All of this has been an attempt to generate joy and happiness in my life and leave a path for others to follow, that with a little luck they would be able to do the same thing. I've definitely taken it more as a working approach, which kind of limits the ability to enjoy some of the things I do when you're constantly analyzing it and actually view it as work. But all in all, it's been very beneficial, and it really hit me this weekend. And I don't know why, but It's a Wonderful Life popped in my head, and it really hit me that I do have a wonderful life. I've had the ability to exist, to enjoy, and to learn for the last 45 years. And my focus has always been on understanding, analyzation. But it's been good. A few years back, I made a decision to try to get more out of life, not be academic about it, because I really, as much as I was avoiding the temptation towards a materialistic lifestyle the first more than half, 3/4 of my life, and even though I theorized that those things exist to enhance your existence, but I didn't want to get sucked into it. So in my overly cautious state, I probably spent longer living in a state of poverty, I guess, than I needed to. But I wanted to make sure that I had a strong moral, ethical, honorable, philosophical base to build my life on, and that I didn't want to be sidetracked into a shallow, meaningless existence that was based on and revolved around materialism and finances. So at one point, I finally gave myself permission to start enjoying life. It was probably 6-7 years ago. Probably 2008, 2009, I made the decision to start actually pursuing that type of a life. And along the way, I've had to give myself permission to release a lot of things and to start accepting a lot of things. I mean, that's just generalized, basic terms. I'm not going to really elaborate on it, but that's the gist of it. I'm releasing things and accepting things. And as I've started pursuing that particular path, I have made tremendous improvements in my life. When we first moved to Texas, it was a stressful situation and stressful circumstances, making sure it all worked out. But I remember my first 6 months, year here was the first time in my life I really felt like I was happy. And that's I was 40. I had my 40th birthday a couple months after we moved to Texas. And I just remember feeling the difference between how I had lived and experienced and felt my whole life compared to then. And I really felt happy. And I even told people, so this is for the first time in my life I actually feel happy. Now it eventually faded because the excitement of the move and the challenge wore off, and it just became life, which was starting to bog me down and beat me down again. And again, I had to work through a lot of my own issues, and but it was all beneficial, and it really kind of hit me this weekend that I really do have a wonderful life. I really, even in the low points, the learning experience, the experience alone, the things that I have experienced, whether they were good or bad, have had a tremendous impact on who I am and what I do, and that's really the biggest part of our existence is experience, the experience you have. And sometimes they get repetitive and you fall into a pattern or a cycle, and you either become content or you become consumed with the experiences that you're going through, and you fail to bring in new experiences. And it's not right or wrong. It's not a competition who can experience the most. It's just, do you feel like you have made the most of your life? You experienced the best life that you can. And if sitting at home on your patio, enjoying the space that you created day in and day out, fulfills your desires, then I say more power to you. If you have a desire to experience new things, I think that's fantastic too. Part of my drive is to experience new things, although I do find myself very content enjoying some of the things that I've already established as pleasurable to myself. And sometimes sitting on my patio doing nothing is just fine. That's exactly what I want to do. I very oftentimes will get into a period of repetition that becomes to me stale and stagnant, and that's when I try to break things up. But we moved to a bigger city to have more opportunities to explore and engage things that we've never experienced. And we've done quite a few. We moved here 5 years ago. We didn't have the finances to do anything. So the first several months, we lived much like we did before we moved here, on a shoestring budget. Getting by. We were existing, and that's it. Only. We were existing. We had found a way to put enough food on the table to feed everybody for every meal. We found a way to put enough gas in the car to get back and forth to work so that we can continue to earn money. We did not go out to eat. We did not indulge in culinary exploration. We lived off of generic ham and cheese sandwiches, and hot dogs and macaroni and cheese, and SpaghettiOs and ramen noodles and things like that. We existed on a $50 a week budget for a family of 5. We lived in an apartment, and we had no beds, we had no furniture. We came with a couch and a TV, and we slept on air mattresses for the first several months. I was able to document through my voice recordings daily how I felt every day of that, and what I did. And again, it was all meant to, one, for me to understand the process, but it was trying to achieve happiness. And even then I was happy because I felt like I was accomplishing something. It's a challenge. And that's how I viewed it. I viewed every day that I got up, the challenge of how am I going to get through the day today? How am I going to provide food for the other members of the family? The clothes, the things that they need. How am I going to make it work? And every day was a challenge. And I came up with some very creative and unique methods during that system. And eventually I'll get around to processing all those voice notes in that daily recorded journal and put some type of a piece of work out there that helps someone understand what it took for me to get through all that. But now I've hit a point in my life that I'm very comfortable to a certain extent, because I have ambition and I wish to do more. I want to make more, I want to travel more, I want to explore more, I want to experience more. But I'm very content with where I'm at in my life. I have 2 cars that I love. I mean, when you're growing up and you had a love of automobiles and your 2 favorite available, and you thought someday I'm going to have one of those, and now I have both. I love Jeeps, I love Mustangs, and I have one of each, and it doesn't seem like much, but it makes a big deal to me. I'm in a house that I absolutely love our home. I'm doing something that to most part I am satisfied with. There are days that it is, like I said, overwhelming, but that's the same with any job. And I want to move up to the next level. That's where I'm going now. That's what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to document that process. But I've accomplished a lot, and to some people, that's all they want. That's all they need to have. And I am happy to show what I did and how I got here. And there's a part of me that could be very content just existing, doing what I'm doing at the level that I'm at, and enjoying my life as is. But again, I'm ambitious, and I want to explore more. I want to push the limits more. I want to see how far I can take this. And for the last year or more, I have felt like I'm ready to share. I'm ready to. I've made a couple attempts at sharing what I do, opening up and reaching out to people that show what I do. I've dabbled in social media, Facebook particularly, to try and share what I do, to try and inspire and motivate others. It's harder for me at times to do that for a couple of different reasons. One, I've always been very closed off. I've always been very quiet, but that's part of my makeup. That's part of how I got to where I'm at. It's part of how I understand what I understand, because I didn't spend a lot of time talking. I spent a lot of time observing, analyzing, understanding the things that were around me, and it's been not really difficult, but it's been an experience in trying to open up and share more of who I am, what I am. But more and more I feel like on a daily basis I need to share more of what I'm doing, show the detail, the unique way that I approach life, and what I've learned about it along the way. And that's kind of where I was at this weekend, is I was really trying to figure out a way to cross over and really put myself out there. And I've got a couple different theories on it. I'm not going to go into it right now. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to probably cut this short and come back to some of this later. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. I wanted to give kind of an update. I had a great weekend. We got out, didn't get a chance to talk about some of the things we did, but we got to go and explore some of the things here in town that we've been wanting to do since we moved here, and just haven't. And there was no reason why other than choice. We just hadn't made the choice to explore those and experience those things, and it was very fulfilling and very good weekend for me all the way around, and left me very motivated to pursue my unfolding, my opening to the world, and showing what I do and how I do it, and that it has brought me a certain level of joy and happiness, and I hope that others will be able to take what I've done and use it to make changes in their own lives. And that's it.